Welcome to the Integration Station. I'm Ashley Michaud, your coach. It's all happening. Hello and welcome, you beautiful souls. I got a lovely friend and guest here, Patti, and she is a Reiki girl. She does all kinds of things with this spiritual healing medicine. I was mostly inspired to have her on because when we met, she was working on animals with Reiki, and I know we've had other Reiki practitioners on for these podcasts, and I would just want to share, how unique it is. Yeah, Patti does work with humans, and she's an amazing healer. But just the fact that she's put herself out there to work with the animals in this way too, I thought really made her unique, and I couldn't help but want to share her with the rest of you. So without further ado, here is Patti.
Thank you, Ashley. It's my pleasure to be here and share. Yes, I do work with people. I am a Reiki Master teacher. I'm located in Millbrook, Ontario, but I'm also an Animal Reiki Practitioner, and it was one of those things. I have always loved animals, and so when I was learning Reiki and discovered that I could also learn how to work with animals, it was almost like a no-brainer for me. I was very, very drawn to it. And I have never looked back. I love what I do. I love helping animals because, they experience everything that we do, whether it's physical pain, emotional issues, anxiety, stress, grief, it doesn't matter. They're the same. They have it as well. And so they, in their best interest, the Reiki helps to bring them back into balance. All the chakras within their body, they have just like we do. And when those are open and working and flowing, everything works great. And when they're not, it can cause issues for them. So, like people, I like to help them so that they can feel their best because they deserve it as much as we do.
Yeah. And what happens when we feel our best, right? It has this amazing ripple effect that hits everybody else, everything else. If everything's energy and our energy is bigger and brighter, then, it's just spreading that out amongst everything else into the energetic field. I think it's wonderful work, anybody working in these kinds of fields, as light workers. And I'm curious, what inspired you to start your Reiki journey?
Well, a lot of things sort of happened along the way that led me this far. I had a corporate job for 40 years, I worked and like everybody else and let's make a living. You got to do this, you got to work hard until 2013. And I was told I had cancer. And I was terrified, all the normal feelings that people experience when they, are given this diagnosis of, those terrible thoughts go through your head. However, when I was explaining what was wrong to my daughters and telling them everything that was going on, and I was comforting them, I had this overwhelming sense of peace come over me. It was just so powerful. I'd never felt anything like this. And a voice said to me, "You're going to be okay." And while that was a new experience for me, I just knew it was true. And so I went through my treatments, and not always the good days. Some days were not as good as others. But what it did, that whole message for me was it gave me strength and it kept me positive throughout it. Because I knew that, yes, there are days that I'm going to struggle. And yes, there are days I'm not going to feel well. But the ultimate ending of this is that I'm going to be good. And as I went through that process, I learned to stop worrying about things, forgetting about everything that had happened in the past that perhaps wasn't, maybe I regretted at the time, or things about what was going to happen tomorrow or the next day. And I started to completely just live in the present moment. And it was so peaceful there. Who knew? So that was really what led me to make changes in my life. Healthier eating, exercise, yoga, meditation. I was introduced to essential oils, and they were all wonderful. But ultimately, what happened was my massage therapist at the time was a Reiki master, and she kept telling me, you need to study Reiki. You have healing energy in you. And it took her 3 times to actually convince me. I was a little bit, But when I did, the moment I stepped into my Reiki master's home where she was teaching, I knew I had come home. I just felt so at peace. I thought, this is what I'm meant to do. And it changed everything for me. I retired from my job. I decided to just follow my heart. And it was the most powerful thing, because I realized that being of service and helping others is really what I'm here for, why I'm on this planet. And so I just kept learning all these different modalities, and I just love that I can do this, whether it's for people or animals. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there are tons of different kinds of Reiki, and you're certified in quite a few of them, if I remember correctly.
Yep, I am. I've taken I was like a sponge. I just wanted to learn more and more. And it's so, each one just sort of, my energy would just raise, my vibration, everything. I was just so excited about my journey, for sure.
So, out of the different trainings that you've done, what did you notice, or like, what are the additional teachings that you've gotten out of them?
Well, in the various types, there's your, I say, basic Reiki, which you learn. But there are, as you said,
Usui
Reiki, right? But then I discovered there was different types. So Karuna Reiki, which adds different symbols that you can use to enhance the healing, depending on what you need or what the person or animal needs. And that just, again, added to what I was already doing. I learned something called Celtic Reiki, which is calling in the energy of the trees. And that's an incredible experience, really incredible experience. And for anybody who does any energy healing and is connected in that way, we know that trees are very energetic. They have so much power within them, and each type of tree,
ancient wisdom.
It is, absolutely. And each tree, each type of tree brings something different. And so it's just, again, it's just, I wanted to learn this to just add more to what I'm offering in terms of the benefits that my clients, the animals, the people receive. And I also learned another modality, which isn't Reiki. It's a different modality called the Black Pearl Technique. And it is a little different than Reiki. It is energy. It's to do with, it helps with people experiencing deep-seated trauma, to help them release it, to break it down, and to get it out of their body. And it's a very gentle healing modality, but it's very effective as well. And of course, Animal Reiki.
Yeah, absolutely. And has any of them, do you integrate them all into each other, or did one speak to you louder than the others, you think?
Well, at different times, I integrate different ones, depending on what I feel intuitively is needed for the person or animal I'm working with. Sometimes I just do my Usui Reiki just like I would normally do. And others, I just feel that someone needs a little extra. And that's where I'll call in the different symbols from Karuna Reiki or from the Celtic Reiki. Black Pearl Technique is a whole separate thing. So that would be a session in itself. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you made the decision, I'm going to retire, I'm going to just pay it forward and help other people, follow my heart. There's a lot of people that are feeling that in the collective right now. Like, it's time to exit the matrix. I'll retire early if I can. Or, but people get scared. And, I'm curious, was there something specific that helped you move past that fear? Or what's a piece of advice you could give to anybody who is feeling that right now?
Right. Yeah. It is a bit scary because, of course, you're leaving the security of a job. Your income is, with the job, or the corporate job, or whatever you do, you're earning a specific income. You perhaps have benefits and, retirement packages, and you're kind of thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do if I leave this? I'm leaving all the security. And yes, that's a I don't think anybody doesn't feel that way. However, I just feel that when we follow our hearts, it works out the way it's meant to. And I'm a firm believer that, what you put out comes back to you, and it comes in many forms. So that's one. The other one is when this all came about, when I was diagnosed, I was 60. I was not a young person, and that again is scary. But another sort of suggestion or a recommendation is it's never too late to start something new. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter, what kind of life you have. If you're following your heart and you passionately believe that what you're doing now isn't really what you're meant to do, then follow it. Listen to your heart. And I'm not saying everybody just quit your job right now, but it's something you can work through and trust. Like I have a lot of faith in my higher power, in the universe, in God, and whatever you believe in. That trust, that faith never has failed me, never. So it's worth taking the chance. And not to say that it's always easy, just letting you know, that there can be some challenges along the way. However, like I said, it just works out exactly as it's meant to be, and for yourself and for all those that you're helping.
I believe that too. Now, I am gonna just pause this for a quick second, Patti, and I'm gonna come right back. Okay, just a sec. Yeah, you've given a lot of inspiration here, and I want to just dive a little bit more into faith, because one thing I learned about faith is that it can be developed. It's not something that you're just born with. It's, we can have faith in the negative, or we can have faith in the positive, and what we choose to develop and choose to cultivate within ourselves is what is going to be reinforced in the external world. And I think once we get a grasp of spirituality and what it's made of, that it's not a religion, it's a way of life, a way of being, a way of thinking, a way of seeing, that it becomes so much more. And yeah, just in general, I think you've come a long way. You've overcome so much already in your life, and you've given a lot, for many people in your kind of situation, to mull over here, to get re-inspired. And I'm curious if there's any other advice you would give when it comes to cultivating faith or following your heart.
Well, it isn't always easy, for sure. And it is something you have to develop over time. And it's about consistency. For me, it's deciding to do something and doing it consistently daily. For example, meditation. I do meditate every day, and sometimes they're short, sometimes they're long, but that's how I start my day anyway, with meditation, because that helps me to connect better, to hear what I need to know. Journaling is another one. I'm very big on journaling. It's there's different kinds of journaling that you can do. I have 3 different journals. I have an affirmation journal, so the I am statements, the positive, and that's the key, is keeping everything positive, and a gratitude. Now, gratitude to me is the biggest part of developing my faith, because those days when I was not feeling it the way I do now, once I started to write out everything that I was grateful for, and rediscovering the blessings I have in my life, and I have so much to be thankful for in so many ways, that that attitude of gratitude is such a positive, motivating force for faith to me. It's about believing in something you can't see, which is, often a struggle for people. But for me, it is the being consistent. It's doing it every day. It's about trusting yourself. It's about loving yourself enough to trust yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you're kind of like, I don't know, this isn't going to work. I just don't feel it. But
you fall into other people's ideas, right?
Absolutely.
Their limits, their projections. It's easier to believe all that stuff, I've noticed, if you're in a place of not loving yourself. But as soon as you love yourself, it's like, oh, now it's my goal to challenge you on all those things that
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, yes. And there are people, and when you start this kind of journey of healing, or whatever it is that you're drawn to do, there are going to be people that tell you you're crazy. You can't do this. Or how could you do this? And honestly, there are people that I've lost in my life because of my choice. But I believe that they're not there any longer for a reason. They've served their purpose in my life, and now they've moved on. And what happens, though, is when you...
Oh, sorry, Patti.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, what happens, though, is as you're growing and developing and you're really embracing your beliefs, your faith, you attract the right people, the people that are perfect to help you along that journey, because it isn't, you're not alone. And that's not just in the physical sense of being alone, of having people in your life that are going to guide you and help you. But when you take that time and just believe and have faith, like people talk about prayer, people pray and ask for something, please God, please whoever, can you help me do this, or attract this, or bring this into my life. And my prayers are, thank you, God, for bringing this into my life. And it's not necessarily here right now, but that's the belief part, the trust, the faith, is putting it out there and letting it go. Just saying this, I'm so grateful for this, and that you've given this to me, or you brought this to me, or this person to me, or whatever it might be, and just letting it go and trusting, because it comes, and it's always in divine timing, the perfect time.
Yeah, when it's meant to be. I am definitely a believer in that, and I've seen that reinforced in my life, likely because of that belief. And what I was gonna mention was a poem by Rumi, which is "Life is a Guest House," and in that, what he's talking about is that you got to let it all in. Sometimes it's grief, sometimes it's negative feelings about yourself, sometimes it's negativity from somebody else. Whatever it is, you got to let it in. Every day is a new day, and while it may be happiness and sunshines and rainbow one day, the next day it might be somebody judging you, or you judging yourself, even worse sometimes. But whatever it is, you need to honor it. Even if somebody's coming in to rob you of all your riches and everything that you've accumulated over time, and you just got to trust in yourself that it's for a reason. It's because it's making room for you to get what it is you really need in that moment. So whenever people are scared of, oh, I'm gonna lose a friend, I need to people please, I get in these conversations all the time with people, that doctors and homeless people, it's all the same. It doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum.
I know, you're right. Yeah, absolutely right. And I mean, there are days when I wake up and I feel, I'm not feeling that joy or that bliss, and so maybe I just it's my way, my body, my mind telling me that just take a rest. Don't just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and
feel it and free it.
And then when I do that, and sometimes I will just spend the day resting, laying down, meditating, whatever I feel like I need to do for me. I'm not always happy. Like you said, it's not always, rainbows and sunshine. And you're right. You really, it's important to honor it. But I've learned now that I can get through that. I don't wallow in it for too long, and I can let it go. And understanding that tomorrow is another day, the sun is going to rise, everything's going to be fine. And it does take time to develop that ability, but it's worth it. It's very much worth it.
Here's one of the reasons too. I think I wrote the Be the Change book when we met with my book launch, and in that was all about aligning to Mama Nature's cycles. It's like, yeah, the sun does rise every day and the sun sets every day, but guess what? The weather's always different, and depending on the season, the sun rises at different times and the sun sets at different times. So it's always changing. And the more aligned we are with nature, I think the better we can move with that kind of flow, that kind of understanding that this too shall pass.
Yes.
It's a cliche for a reason.
It is, yeah. But it's for some people it's very hard to get your head around.
Yeah.
And I get that, and that's often when I have people coming to me because they can't seem to get past it, and the Reiki can help with that.
Yeah, so let's get back to that. What are some of the other benefits of Reiki and that kind of practice?
Yes. Well, Reiki can benefit us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. A typical Reiki session minimally will provide relaxation and peace. It's very good at calming someone's mind, calming their bodies, their that anxiety and stress that we feel and we experience no matter what we do. It helps with physical pain, whether it's something, perhaps an injury that someone has, or a chronic pain they've got, or surgery. It helps with healing. So after a surgery, the Reiki can actually help the where they've had the surgery to heal faster and feel less pain. Emotionally, like there's people come in that have grief, that are going through grief, they've lost someone that they really loved, and it's sadly a part of life. We all go through it. It's a process as well. But the Reiki seems to break down some of that struggle and those feelings, and it really helps the person release, because we don't want to hold that sorrow, that grief inside. We need to let it out. And what happens with a lot of people when they come for that kind of session is the tears just flow without them even trying. They're just laying there, and it's such a good release. It needs to be done, and it's a process as well. So with Reiki, like a lot of healing modalities and medical treatments, it's not an overnight thing. It takes time. And so it's not like one visit and you're done and you're fine and move on. It can take time, but it's well worth the practice. And it's the same thing with animals. So it can help them physically with pain. Animals hurt themselves. They have emotional stresses, anxieties, fear, grief over the loss of another animal in their life, or a human in their life, and they actually experience the same grief. So it works in so many ways. There's not any part of our essence that it doesn't help in some way. And when the good thing with Reiki is it can never hurt someone, and it's always for their highest and greatest good.
Thank you. And, I just want to add to that it's not only for the person's greatest good, it's for, bringing it back to that ripple effect,
Yes.
Once you're feeling better, you're able to help somebody else's day be better. Instead of like brushing off the stranger on the side of the road, maybe you're smiling at them, and then that cheers up their day.
Absolutely. And because we're all energy, and we pick up on other people's energy. And it's the same with animals. A lot of the anxiety I see in animals is because of what's going on in the home. With dogs and cats particularly, they're stressed because the people in their home are stressed and anxious, and they're picking up on that. So in a lot of cases, it's the human that really needs the healing first, and that will in turn help the animal. But you're right. And when you feel good, and I think we all know this, when we're feeling good, when we're feeling happy and joyful and content, it radiates out to everyone around us. People see you walk around with a smile, as you said, saying hi to somebody on the street that you don't know, or just smiling at them. And it doesn't matter, they may look at you like, what are you smiling at? But it will make them realize that they're noticed.
Yeah, and that in itself feels good, And
oh yeah, it feels good. Like when I'm out and I do see someone on the street, and I often, most of the time, and smile and say hi to them. It's we're walking along the road. It makes them feel good, and I feel good. It's like I've made this little connection, even though it's brief. And don't we all need connection with others?
We crave it so much. Yes. So, there was a touch epidemic for a long time, like maybe even a hug epidemic for a long time. The personal touch, babies die without it, and yet we don't even have to touch each other physically in order to exchange that, and yet we still don't even come close enough to each other to get that. A lot of the time it's really important work to do, to share it, even if it's by far. And distance Reiki is a whole other thing that I'm sure we could get into.
And it is. Distance Reiki has been the biggest thing over the last couple of years, during times when, we couldn't get together and be in person. So,
Well, I really want to thank you for being here, Patti. I've just got 2 more questions before we go. The first is, if I gave you a dandelion right now to make a wish, which I truly believe we got to say our wishes out loud, not like that old birthday rule, I just had somebody on the show explaining this. But, it's our friends and our family and the people we say it out loud to that are going to help us manifest it. So if I was to give you a dandelion right now, make a wish, what would that wish be?
Oh, boy. It's like kid in the candy store, boy. I wish that, this is my personal wish, that there was a Reiki, an energy healer, in every home in the world, because of how perfect it is for anybody to be able to offer some kind of healing to themselves, their friends, their family, their pets. It's Reiki is so simple and beautiful and peaceful, and it would benefit everybody. So that's always been my wish.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful, Patti. And the last thing I've got is, how can anybody contact you for teaching or Reiki or distance Reiki or animal Reiki? What's the best way to contact you?
Well, there's a couple of ways. You can go to I have two websites. So I have two different business names for people and animals. So for people, it's called Body and Soul Wellness. And it's my website is at bodyandsoulwellness.ca. And through that, they can connect with me, or Peacock Spirit Animal Reiki.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, and same names, Peacock Spirit Animal Reiki for both. And and for my Body and Soul Wellness, the name is Body and Soul Wellness with Patti, Patti.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to share all that information in the description, but for anybody driving, just keep it in your mind, all right?
Yeah, that's fine. I am in Millbrook, Ontario. So for
Congrats
those
on the
that
move, by the way.
Thank you. Oh, I love it. And for people, they usually come to me, although if necessary, if someone's not able to, we can either do a distance or I go to them if they're relatively close by. And for animals, I go to them. They're more comfortable in their own environment.
Yeah, I actually, I just got a husky puppy, and when I leave, she does get anxious, but I don't think it's because of the people, because she loves the kids. She's good here. I think it's a fear of missing out.
Yeah,
to be honest.
probably.
Where did mommy go?
Yeah, I know. Oh, they're funny. Yeah.
So you'll have to meet her sometime soon.
I would love
get out
to,
there.
Yeah,
we'll get out there and visit you for a walk or a hike or something.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye for now, Patti.
Bye. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, it's honestly my pleasure. Thanks for sharing so much. I know it's going to help a lot of people. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care.
Bye, love.
Bye.